Good morning, Sebastiano.
Good morning, Andrea.
So
nice to meet you.
We are a little bit short on time, so if it's okay for you, we'll start directly with the case.
That works for me, thanks.
Okay, so basically our client is the director of Abu Dhabi Airport, and they would like to build a train that connects the airport directly to the city. And we know that the capex for this type of construction is $1.4 billion. And we know that the government is going to subsidize 40% of this capex if and only if we can demonstrate that there is going to be a 15% return on investment on the rest, the 60%. So our clients want to know, is this possible? Yes or no?
Okay, thank you. So just to see if I captured correctly all the numbers, we will be working for the director of Abu Dhabi Airport, which is evaluating a project to let's say to build a train from the airport to the city of Abu Dhabi. The forecasted capex for this project is 1.4 billion. And the government is willing to subsidize 40% if the project can show an ROI higher than 15% on the remaining part.
Exactly.
Okay. And just to understand, I assume that there is no train, as far as I know, there is no train at the moment in Abu Dhabi Airport.
That is correct. There is no train that connects the airport to the city.
Great. So I'll assume that at the moment there is only probably taxi, public transport, and private transport. And is the train going to serve only this specific route, or is it going to be a longer line and this is going to be just a chunk of the longer line?
For now, we consider it just going point by point. So it's actually super quick, city, airport, city.
Okay. And just to better understand is there any other objective that the client has in mind together with this train? Or
no, they just want to know, can we achieve 50% ROI on 60% of the capex? Yes or no?
Okay. So just to align here, and I think this is my last question. The statement is pretty clear. Given the way it's formulated the ROI, I would like calculate this as the profit minus the capex that we will spend all divided by the capex that we will spend.
That is correct.
This definition, the client agrees with this definition?
Absolutely. That is the way we could look at it. Absolutely.
Okay. Then may I take just a couple of minutes to align my thoughts?
Please do.
Thank you.
Freeze. So as you saw, the candidate did the first part of the case pretty well here. So he did a recap. So he restated the prompt of the interviewer. He asked for clarifying questions. So try to understand the situation better. What is the scope? You don't want to give the right answer to the wrong question. And now he's starting the structure. Really important, the structure has to be messy, and it has to be between 90 seconds, something around 1 minute and 30 seconds. That is the time you want to have to do your structure. Unfreeze.
Okay, so just to the way I would start looking at this is by, let's say, analyzing what elements are needed for us to proceed. And in particular, I'm not sure with my camera you can see my structure, probably not very well, but the idea is I would look, starting from the ROI, which is our main target, I would then look into costs and profit, which is the two building blocks of our problems. Then for the cost, we will need mostly the life of the investment and the investment itself, which we have. And for the profit side, we will need revenues and costs. And in particular, for the revenues, we might need to understand mostly the number of people that are going to take the train, the price of the tickets, and all the other revenue stream, which might be fines, subscription, or maybe bar, maybe some other subsidies from advertisement and so on. And from the cost perspective, we might also have elements such as maintenance and labor costs, and depending on the structure of the company, other elements that might be related to maybe IT and other functions.
I like it.
Given the structure and the type of industry, I would assume a life that is at least 20 years, like something around maybe 20 to 30, because it's a big.
That is the time of the investment, around 20 years.
Okay, good. So let's assume 20 years. We have the capex already, and in terms of revenues, so we will probably later go into the price. I think the key element here is understanding really how many people would be interested in taking this plane. So the volume of customers and the revenue stream. So most likely biggest revenue stream, I think, would be from the ticket price.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There could be some minor one, food, beverage, but let's consider tickets.
Yeah. Okay. Then do we have an estimate of maybe a number of people that are interested in taking the train? Otherwise, we can start looking at some data, maybe internal data or external data related to the passengers that the airport serves, the volume of traffic there at the airport.
Okay, of course we don't have the data because otherwise the case would be too easy. But let's put it this way. If you were at the airport and sitting there, you could see that there are two routes. So the plane can take off or arrive on two different routes. And basically every 5 minutes, there's going to be a plane that, lands or take off. So two independent routes, each for either taking off or landing. And every 5 minutes, there is one plane. You could actually see one plane. Where would you go from here?
Okay. So from this, I would start estimate the number of planes that can land every time or can take off. So you can start estimating the number of planes, which would mean 12 flights per hour per track, and so 24 flights, which will mean in 24 hours 576 flights per day. However, this in the hypothesis that everything is constant, which there probably some peak hours. I mean, I know Abu Dhabi is an international airport, but we might want to consider maybe some capacity reduction during the night and so on. This would be the first building blocks, and the second would be knowing the type of planes and the passenger per planes, because given the Emirates, we might have also cargo planes, and then I would divide into international flights and maybe regional flights, let's say big and small plane, that's the idea, and maybe some private jets. So
I like this approach. Let's consider 90% of the 576, like a good number. And given that number, we can look just at local or international. So let's not consider the one that you said, cargo or private. And let me tell you that 80% is actually international flights and 20% is actually local flights. International flights have double of the capacity of a local flight, and a local flight has 150 seats on average.
Okay. Now, from my previous background in this topic, I remember that the capacity utilization is very, very high, typically for airplanes. And if I'm not mistaken, it was like far above 80% in pre-COVID times. So first of all, if we have any data here or about the capacity, otherwise we can assume even 100% maybe.
Yeah, let's consider a scenario post-COVID, because otherwise it's going to be too difficult. We're in 2022, pandemic is over. Let's consider 100% capacity utilization.
Okay, so good. Thanks for that. That was also one of my question about the COVID recovery. And so given this type of planes, we know, so we have 576 flights at 90%. It will mean 518 flights per day. And so each flight will have 300 passenger, for international and 150 for the local. Now we know that 20% of flights are local.
Yep.
So I would calculate the average number of passengers per plane, which is basically the weighted average between the two. So it's 240 for the international plus 30 for the local is 270 passengers per plane, which will mean we're going to have 518 into 270. Good. So we're going to have, let me just run these numbers. 130, almost 140,000 passengers, if we can round up the number a little bit.
Yes, we can consider 140,000.
Okay, so it's 140,000 passengers per day.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the overall passenger traffic. Let's say I am assuming that this number do not include like cabin crew and pilot, which can be also a smaller percentage of the
negligible
plane. Good. So given this number, now I would assume what types of transportation you're having. So some people will probably take the cab, some people will take the bus, and others might be interested in taking the plane. I mean, assuming we are in steady state already, the people know about the train and so on. So do we have a current estimate of maybe how many people are taking the cab at the moment?
Yes, so that is a really good point. We know that 30% of this number actually takes the cab, and the rest partially will take the train, and partially, you know, will go with relatives or friends that will pick them out. So how would you go from here?
Okay, so well, we know, as you told, 30% is taking the cab at the moment. Yeah, let's assume that the percentage might stay the same, right? So if we're talking here 42,000 passenger a day on the cab.
Yes.
And then the rest, which is like approximately 100,000, to be split between private and train. Now, for the private, so there could be, we could either run a survey here or look into similar airports to understand what are the options. Those are two viable options. Otherwise, I mean, those would be my preferred one. Otherwise, we might look maybe into the current capacity, as we did before looking at the traffic. We might look at the current capacity of the airport in terms of maybe parking area. They might have run some estimate too. Yes. However, I would rather go with the first one if we have any data from a survey.
Let's say again that you are in the airport and you look at the parking spot and you see that there is the capacity for 1,000 cars, so 1,000 spots, and a car can stay in the parking slot 20 minutes maximum, and it is usually at 90% utilization, the parking slot.
Sorry, I didn't understand the percentage. How much do you say?
90% utilization
90%.
Of the parking slot.
This is very high. All right. So here I would assume, so we have basically 1,000 cars in 20 minutes, means they can stay only 20 minutes. So let's assume that most of these people are going to pick up passengers and not just colleagues who are going there for work.
Yes.
And then given this assumption, we will have approximately 3,000 cars per hour into 90%, which is 2,700 vehicles per hour. And so these some of the people might carry more than one passenger. So these numbers might be higher. Do we have any estimate?
Let's consider, roughly 1.1, let's consider, let's be close.
Well, then it's going to be back to the 3,000 people per hour, more or less, which will mean approximately in a day. Sorry, let me run these numbers. It's going to be 72,000 people per day, right?
Correct. That will be picked up by relatives.
Yes.
So we have, what is the rest?
Yeah, so we said 42,000 for the cab, approximately 72,000 here for the private vehicle. So for the train, I mean, given that we approximated a bit the number, so we're going to have, give me 1 second, approximately 26,000 passenger a day for the train. We're approximating a bit the number, so.
Sorry, I didn't hear the number.
26,000 passenger a day.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, that is correct.
Okay. I don't know if you have a, because I approximate the number, I can run the precise calculation if you want.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So 26,000 people per day taking the train. Where we go from here?
Okay, so we have 26,000 people. Now, going back to my structure, assuming that this is the main revenue streams, we need to understand the ticket price. Now, for the ticket price, we can again either look at benchmarks or run a survey, but the way I would probably do it is by analyzing, like thinking about the consumer. He or she can either take the train or take the cab. So the train has to be more advantageous than the cab in terms of price.
Correct.
Since we can easily know the price of cabs, then we know that the range of the train is going to be somewhere in somehow lower than this. And so
the cab
I remember
price,
when
the cab price from the airport to Abu Dhabi is $20.
Okay, so I would assume a price that is like maybe around, given also my knowledge in Italy is like 15 euros, so I would assume here is around $15.
Good. Let's go with 15.
Okay, good. So $15. Now we have $15 into 26,000. Let me just run this number. So this is $390,000 a day, $1,000 a day. Okay, so now we need some information about going again back to my structure. We need to calculate. We need some yearly cost if we have any cost items to calculate the ROI. I mean, if we have yearly, otherwise.
Let's say that the OPEX are around 90 million per year.
Okay, so if that's OPEX, if we include all the items that we can think of, or can I assume this is the full OPEX that we need?
It does not include depreciation.
Okay. Which actually helps us, because in the ROI we will have to take off the capex. So what I need to calculate now is the yearly profit. We have the numbers on a daily basis, and then I just need to convert this on a yearly basis and run the math. Just allow me some time to run the numbers. So this should be approximately $142 million a year in terms of revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And now we said we have $90 million of OPEX, assuming that this number stays the same for 20 years, let's say for a 20 years life. It's a quite profitable business, to be real. So this will mean 52 million $52 a year into 20, and so this will be 140 million, which is like 140 million. So it's 140 is the overall profit in 20 years. We will have to subtract 0.6% of the capex, which was 1.4, so it's 840 million, which will be approximately 200 million, divided again by what we have spent, which is again 0.6% of the capex, which is again 940 million. So overall, it's going to be the ROI is going to be 200 over 840, which is above the threshold that we had of 50, for sure is above 15%. So we are having, I'll run this number, is going to be something above 20%. So if you need the exact number, otherwise the project is definitely
let's say that this is fine. You're going to meet him, meet the CEO, meet our client in 1 hour. So what is our final recommendation then?
Okay, yes. Just can I take a minute to structure the recommendation? Thanks.
Please. So this is the end of the second part of the case. After the first part that we said before, this is the second one, the main part, the one in which you actually run the case. Sebastiano did the math correctly. He went back to the structure. He actually led the case. So the interviewer this time just asked him a question like, okay, where do we go from here? And then to Sebastiano, the interviewee, was able to go back to his structure and go along. Now starts the last part of the case. That is the recommendation. The recommendation is a slide. The final slide you're going to present to the CEO. Ask for a moment, take a few seconds, put your thoughts, give your answer, and reply as if you were in front of the CEO of a company that is your client. Unfreeze.
So for our clients, we have analyzed the ROI of the project under the hypothesis of the government be willing to fund 60% of it if an ROI over 15% is shown. We definitely recommend to proceed with the project because according to our calculation, the ROI is 24%, which is far above the minimum threshold. The profit per year is going to be approximately $52 million. And as next step, we would recommend to run some scenarios and sensitivity analysis to understand what are the most impacting parameters and what are the biggest hypotheses and how can these eventually erode our profitability. In particular, some other post-COVID scenarios and sensitivities on the OPEX and ticket price.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So this is the end of the case. I think Sebastiano did a great job. He absolutely smashed the case. He passed. This is the proper way you do it. Consider always 3 phases of the case and run it. My last words would be, if you want to start to prepare for consulting, be focused, be ambitious, and believe in yourself. Sebastiano, would you like to add something?
Thank you, Andrea. No, I think you expressed all the items, and best of luck for your preparation.
Bye, guys. See you on RocketBlocks.